Well, welcome in to Beyond Sunday. I am your host, Luke, and I am joined by Patrick Holden, is a church planner that we support, that you support if you're watching or listening to this, a church called Nuvo Church.
That's
and
right.
Patrick, real quick, so Nuvo Church, you guys are located where?
Yeah, so we Columbus, Ohio, so like right on the outskirts of
Yeah.
Columbus, like 10 minutes from downtown, man.
Yeah, OH.
IO, let's go.
Are you? So that hurt me to do, actually.
Oh,
That hurt
wow.
me. I'm a Gator.
Oh, we can't all go to heaven.
I'm a Gator, and so, but I, you
Yeah.
know, when I can recognize and respect college culture,
Yeah,
so
man.
college football culture.
It's the Ohio State.
The
University.
Ohio
Yeah,
State,
just wanna
you're
make
right.
sure,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, before we jump into Nuvo Church and all the things that went into that starting and your
Yeah.
calling there,
Sure.
I wanted to ask you, what makes Patrick Patrick? So, what's your
Yeah.
hobbies, your family? Like, what are those things that you take interest in?
Oh, geez. Great question. It's so funny. My wife and I, we had a long drive down because we wanted to see the Braves. We're huge Braves fans.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But on the drive, I don't know if you're like this when you're with your wife, and she looked at me. We had like these questions. We did ChatGPT.
Okay, yeah.
Like, here's fun questions. And the question was, what are the quirky things about you? And she said, oh, I don't know how to pick them because there's so many. And I was like, we've been married for a long time and you've never told me that. So there's probably a lot for me. I mean, like the general ones, I'm a huge Braves fan. Like,
Okay, yeah.
I'm like obsessed since like
Yes.
95.
Okay.
Big fan.
Yeah.
I love hanging out with my kids. I also, I get on like these, I don't know if you like this. I'll get like on a 1 month deep dive of something.
100%.
And I will go. I will know that thing. And so so chess is what I'm doing right now. That's like the current one.
Is that a new one for
It's
you?
a newer one. So
Okay.
you would kill me. You would crush me at chess.
Oh,
But-
no,
but
I would not.
But
Absolutely not.
But I've got to know it. Like I gotta.
Yeah.
I do this with like like running. I'm doing that with running now. But
Okay.
but I don't just like run. Like I have to know
Everything.
everything about.
Why
my
did
body.
they invent shoes?
Yes. Oh, okay. So I bought shoes for running, and I could tell you all the specs of my Adidas shoes.
That's
like it's
hilarious.
So I am quirky like that, and then the other one. I mean, again, it sounds churchy, but I'm very fascinated in church for agnostics. That's what we've been doing.
So the skeptic
The
type?
skeptic, yeah. Something's out there. There's an energy. I just can't know what it is. Like that's kind of our fastball. That's like what rattles in my head.
Yeah.
Constantly. So yeah.
So you mentioned ChatGPT there. That's
Yeah.
kind of what curated that game for you and your wife in the car.
Right.
And ChatGPT, so we haven't talked about this on the podcast too much.
Yeah.
My wife is super skeptical, or was super skeptical of AI because robots and freaking her out, taking over the world.
Yes.
Kind of the stereotypical concern.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she just, she was like, I'm not interested in ChatGPT.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
even tell me that you ChatGPT'd something that freaks me out. Just Google it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I said, no, but you don't understand. ChatGPT is so far superior to Google.
So much. Yeah.
Situationally, hey, if I have this, so here's an example, and then we'll move on. The other day, my wife wakes up, goes work out actually with someone on staff here, Olivia.
Yeah.
Goes to work out at her house in the mornings, right? And so she's gone at 5:15. My daughter, who wakes up at a crazy early time,
Yeah.
she decides to wake up at 5:45 at this point, and which is pretty standard, unfortunately. She comes in my room,
Yeah.
and she's trying to get me to get up, whatever. And so, as a great dad would,
Sure.
hey, honey, why don't you go color on the dining room table? I'll be out there in a second.
Yes.
So I'm waking up still, and I hear, Daddy, there's a frog. And I was like, no, there's not. I hate frogs. I hate bugs. I am not a manly man when it comes to this stuff.
No,
I go out into the living room, and sure enough, there's a frog. You can hear it kind of thud against the wall because it's so big. Like, it's a pretty big frog.
Yeah.
So I go to ChatGPT. It's hilarious because at this point I'm testing its limits.
Absolutely.
I'm like, what can it do?
But it's limitless.
Right, exactly. So I say to ChatGPT in the prompt, I say, how can I get a frog out of my house that I do not want to touch?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And it says, turn off all the lights in your house and open a window or a door. It will go toward the light.
No way.
I said, really? So I told my daughter, we got to turn out the lights. So we turn out the lights, and I'm kid you not, this frog that had been stuck in the corner, also jumping behind our entertainment stand next to our TV,
Yeah.
coming back to the corner. I turn off the lights, and within a minute, it's out our sliding doors. I open the sliding doors. I turn off the lights. It goes right out.
It went out by itself.
By itself, went to the light like ChatGPT told me it would.
Okay, here's my question. Did you go back and thank ChatGPT after?
No, I did not. You've heard the stat, though, where it's like ChatGPT's losing tons of money from people literally messaging thank you because it's just another thing they have to pay for.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, no,
that is wild.
I am an avid supporter of ChatGPT.
Yeah,
Listen, I'm aware. There's studies that have come out, apparently, that say that we are going to just become dumber, basically.
Yeah.
Because all we do is lean on this as a crutch of this.
Yeah.
It's like, listen, in instances like that, I'm never going to learn myself how a frog gets out of my house.
No, but now you know.
Also, you're never taking ChatGPT away from me, so why does it matter
right,
what I
it's
do
here.
Intellectually? It's fine.
But you also said, like, 200 years ago, 150 years ago?
Yeah.
Like, that's like saying, like, we have more access with Google.
Yep.
I don't know that I'm dumb. Maybe I'm dumber than somebody 200 years ago. But now I'm like, now I just
You learn a lot, though.
You learn a lot. Yeah.
Like, I now know how to get a frog. It's like a party trick.
Absolutely.
If I go somewhere and there's a frog in a house, I'm the only one there. I'm like, guys, we got to turn off the lights.
Yeah.
Open the door.
Yeah.
Get some light in here. And it'll be out here.
And then you won't be using ChatGPT for that. So,
No.
So now you have become.
I am now, in a sense, ChatGPT.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my story.
This was the highlight of my day. I just want you to know, like, that was perfect. I could do that all day.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, Patrick, that we know a little bit about you, people know maybe more than they want to know about me and how much I love ChatGPT.
Love it.
Can you just tell us, Nuvo Church,
Yeah.
what does Nuvo mean?
Okay.
And why did you feel that God was calling that name kind of to label your church and the brand of it?
I am going to wildly disappoint you on this question. I'm so sorry. And to all of the fans, I've been working at churches since I was like 15, so very young. And every street name was taken. You know what I'm talking about? Like, this street church.
Yes.
And then in
verb church.
And then all the action verbs are gone.
Yeah.
Like everybody's radiates something.
Yes.
And you know what I'm saying? And it was driving me nuts. In fact, of all the early decisions, this name was the difficult. And so I planted the church with two of my closest friends, right? And we would sit there, and they wanted to create a name specific to the city, right? So like, that sort of thing. But what's interesting about Columbus is there's so many people who end up at Ohio State and just stay. And so it's a lot of transplants who don't know the intricacies of Columbus. And so I kid you not, we had like these 3 city-specific names, and I was on a website looking for domains, and I found a French wine called Nuvo. This is true. However, I had to write down, just so you know, it is Nouveau. Yeah, Nuvo. And I was like, I can't spell that. I still can't spell that. So we just spelled it Nuvo, and that was like, and then we did the demographic studies, and we worked with a marketing company. And this is what came back. This is embarrassing for me. I'm 37. I'm not cool. I'm an introvert. I mean, you heard my hobbies. Like, it's not interesting. But they came back and they said, this sounds really cool. It sounds like Rich Wilkerson's, Novu Church.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the question was, is your pastor cool? That was and then the resounding answer from everyone close to me was no.
Oh, that hurts.
But I said, executive decision. So, so it was Nuvo. So that's how we got, but it was a lot of great conversations. The thing that I love about it, though, this is actually when I see the name, we did intentionally pull back to say, what's a name that could go beyond Columbus? Because we want to create a church that has multiple places where it can work. And so Nuvo, for me, when I see it or see it on a shirt, it actually it pushes my faith to go, here's what currently is, but we believe that God is going to do even more. And so it hopefully works everywhere, except for France, where they have wine called Nuvo.
What does Nuvo mean?
It's transliterated Latin for new.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so
it's like
it's
a new
still
church.
biblical.
Yeah,
in the sense of like making things new, at least.
100%. I could, and we almost came up with a story around that. We probably should have. I just like the fact that I found it on a website better.
Yeah, that's really funny. So there you go. If you were curious, like I was, about Nuvo Church, of course, I already ChatGPT'd this 3 days ago. So
you knew.
It doesn't matter.
That would be.
I already knew. It was for you guys.
All right. Hey, have you ChatGPT'd yourself yet?
No. Well, I did with the podcast that I used to do.
Okay, yeah.
Asking it questions about the 6-man show and the Magic podcast that I hosted at one point.
Yeah.
But I haven't done it with myself yet.
I don't know that I recommend it. I'm just wondering.
You don't know that you recommend it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All I know is growing up, I would Google my name as one does in high school.
Absolutely. And 30s.
Yes. Yeah.
And
and Patrick.
And Patrick, yeah.
And it always came up Sylvia Luke.
Really?
Some like political figure.
Oh, like a woman?
A woman named Sylvia Luke.
Okay.
That's all I ever got from my name growing up. But so Patrick, we get a little bit into the background of Nuvo Church, why you went with that name. Mm-hmm. But what about for you, your background? What did you do before? Because I've noticed a theme with people that we've been having on the podcast, right?
Yeah.
There was something that you came from, like maybe it's different for you. Maybe you just knew you want to be a pastor and you went to seminary, whatever it might be. Yeah. But like, for instance, the last few episodes for Beyond Sunday were called these names, right? And I did it basically what their background was, and now they're in ministry, right? Okay. So hip-hop producer to pastor was 1 week. Another one was NFL to church planning. And then another one last week with Riley Halliday of Nuvo Church was from military to ministry.
Yeah, Riley's amazing, by the way.
He's incredible.
I love this guy.
He's incredible. But so for you, what was your background? If I were to title this podcast based on the same trend, from this to ministry, from this to whatever it is.
Dude, man, the only other job I ever had was working concession stands at a YMCA. So it is not hip hop producer.
YMCA to ministry.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the same.
That's the same thing.
Yeah.
That's going to get a great like thumbnage image. I feel like.
Absolutely.
No, you know what's funny, man? I hear stories like that, and I am so inspired by them because I like Riley's story, and he reaches a ton of military people. I believe, like he's we're in one of the same networks together, and he's phenomenal. But honestly, though, my story is kind of like it sounds so preachery, but I was the 12-year-old at youth camp by a stream. Like I don't think I can make it more preacher story. I swear. We would have to do quiet times, and they would send us out, and I went literally sitting by a stream, and I literally prayed a prayer. God, here's my whole life, and I have the journal still, which is kind of cool.
That's awesome.
But I wrote it down. I was like, I feel called to be a pastor. Now, I did want to be the next
when
John
you were
Mayer.
12.
I was 12, yeah. And it was like, I knew. Like, it wasn't like, maybe. Now, I did, like, Major League Baseball player, Atlanta Brave for a minute. Like, that would have been great.
Yeah.
I was a musician for a long time, and so I kind of want to be the next John Mayer. I was going to go to Nashville. I got accepted to Belmont. I was going to go do the music thing. But deep down, I always knew, and I'm wildly introverted, too. So this is the other thing. It was the only place I ever felt comfortable growing up is, like, speaking on stage. And so, so I was 12. I knew I wanted to plant a church then. And then I spent probably the next 9 to 10 years. Do you know VHS? Yeah, I'm probably so much older than you, but like,
I know a VHS.
You know, like that's not like so.
Yeah.
I said this. I said something the other day about a VHS, and somebody was like, "Is that the one you rewound?"
That is,
and I was
crazy.
like, "I'm Chat GPT it." That's what I told him. No, okay. But I would stay in my room as an introvert, and I had a speech impediment. And I would stay in my room, and I would film myself giving sermons at 12, 13, 14 years old.
That's crazy.
And nobody asked me to speak until I was 19. And so, but I did it for a year. Now I did music, so I was on stage doing stuff at churches, but I just felt like, so I had all these VHS tapes, and it's so bad. But I couldn't, so I had speech therapy for years too. So it was like a fascinating, like, hey, I feel called to do this. I feel wildly inept in it.
Yes.
But yeah, so
that's crazy.
That was the story of when I felt called to do it. So,
yeah. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, the VHS tapes, man. Yeah, I think I only had I feel like I had a brief stint with VHS tapes.
Did you? Like Lion King?
Yeah.
Titanic, maybe?
I remember we had a VHS player with our TV.
Yeah.
But I don't remember when we switched to like DVDs, and then you get obviously streaming platforms, all that.
Oh, yeah.
But that's crazy, though. That from 12... even knowing that, obviously, then you become more informed on what that really means as you get older. Like, oh, I've got to raise money. I've got to get a stat. I've got to. Yeah. When I first started, it's going to be just me and whoever I marry, and and you got to build out a staff because you guys have been around for how long?
It'll be 4 years in September.
Okay.
Yeah, so about 3.5, 4.
So you guys were
Yeah.
2021
Yeah.
ish.
Well, we moved.
COVID.
Yeah,
For sure.
So that's an interesting thing too. So I would say I knew I wanted to be a pastor early. I didn't know about church planting until college.
Okay.
College, I was with roommates, and we just dreamed about. It was like church planting was super cool for people back. Like you go to Catalyst, these conferences, and everybody on stage planted their churches.
Right.
So I would say but we dreamed about it, and then we had like a 9-year gap before we did it. And so I knew in adulthood we would plant a church. But yeah, we moved in the middle of the pandemic to do it. But it's kind of fun. We would go with those people to the cities that we dreamed about sometimes, and we'd have like offsites and like 22 years old, 23.
Yeah.
And we'd dream about how we would plant a church, which is kind of fun.
That is crazy.
Yeah. But
especially just having that passion for so long.
Yeah.
And not getting thrown off course.
Yeah.
By like, oh, actually, maybe I'll just go to journalism school and do something else.
Right.
Maybe this isn't that cool. Or I'm just like, I know for me, I wanted to be like a sports writer, a journalist, right? Yeah. So I was shadowing. I had a really cool connection here at the Springs. The Burgoses, he was at the time the strength and conditioning coach for the Magic.
Wow.
So he got me in at like 17 to shadow the writer, the head beat writer for the Magic. And but along the way, it just felt like as I met more sports journalists, it was always the ones who were a little bit older. Yeah. They were like, don't do this.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Don't do it. Yeah. So I'm really surprised because that really threw me off course. Where I was like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't do this. They've been in it so long.
Right.
And so that's why I'm just so surprised that still from the age of 12, there wasn't anything along the way which kind of just probably affirmed you into being a calling.
You know, I got super hurt by a church early, but I remember thinking, and this was interesting, all of the and I was lucky in this, all the pastors that I met and got to know, I ended up really admiring them personally. So I think if I'd have had maybe bad experiences with it, so I think just like God's grace and how he led me through that. But yeah, that was outside. I want to be, a rock star for a minute. Yeah. Playing Battle of the Bands in high school. This is what I was going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's awesome, man. And can you kind of tell us to this point of Nuvo, what is the coolest God story that you've had come out of Nuvo so far? Maybe your top 2 if you have multiple that you just can't choose.
Yeah, that's great. So we moved in 2020, literally in the middle of the pandemic, and all the ways that we were going to plant it got thrown out the window. So, and again, I'm super introverted. Everybody told me like show up at a coffee shop and talk to people and give me. I was like, if somebody came to me at a coffee shop, I would want to smack them. I would not want to talk to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. But so what was interesting about the stories though is, before we ever moved, we like cold called people. Is what we did. We like friend you as a Facebook person, send you a message, and if you answer the message, we'd invite you to a Zoom call or we did a Bible study. We did that for like 9 months. Most of our launch team that way. What's fascinating though is the vast majority of those people early on were agnostic. So our launch team was a third, about 30, 35 people that were agnostic or atheist. Wow. And my favorite story, or one of my favorite stories, is a guy who came at like the 3rd Zoom call we ever did, full on cold call, didn't know him at all, atheist, and came for a networking opportunity. He was trying to get like a networking business off the ground and came like, oh, this might be a good way to do it. And then stuck around and never stopped. And he started running my slides. So from the first day that we started doing public speaking type stuff, services, he ran my slides as an atheist for years and then comes to faith. Got to baptize him a year ago. And just recently got married to someone who's like next to Jesus. I mean, you know what I mean? Like she should have been a disciple. Like she's like amazing story. They're having a baby actually next week. Wow. So I would just say like just the literal complete 360 of his 360, 180. That would have been bad. 180. Did John Chris have something on that? Yeah. It was a 180. Yeah. But I think his story is one where like from the very beginning, there's a pastor I worked for, he would say, if we planted this church for one person, it would have been worth it. I'm like, that Grant is his name. Grant is that for me. I'm like, all of that would have been worth it for him. There's another guy, I coach Little League Baseball. He's a fun one too, where he comes from a divorced family. Like he was a dad, they got divorced, but he's been trying to change some of that. turned his life around, becomes like a phenomenal dad. He's coaching with me now and comes to faith, and we're baptizing him next week, which is kind of cool.
That's incredible.
And so I just like, we have a lot of those stories, but I think my all-time favorites are the people that are in process. So again, a third of our church is agnostic. We hear the story all the time, and it's always my favorite thing. Like, I love the energy. I'm like, Holy Spirit, you know, I love the energy of this place. You know what I mean? Like, and they come with real questions, and we get to be part of that. So I think like that's the I've been in a lot of churches that, you know, would say they want to reach unchurched people. I think it's great. But we are, and it's awesome, and it's maddening. They can't serve in kids yet. But I would say, like, you know, we have that feeling of like, how do we navigate it, and they're coming to faith. So those are a couple of the stories that have been cool.
Yeah, and that's a super interesting, not perspective, but just story about, because we always talk about, even at the Springs, like we use the language of reaching the one,
Right. Yeah.
right, and what are we doing, and we're always trying to get better at that.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to say, like, you know, a third of your church being agnostic. Would you say is that still accurate? Like, they currently, you feel like the third of your church doesn't know Jesus yet?
Yeah, we do these like survey-ish, whatever that kind of stuff is. And so we'll ask them about their spiritual journey. And the last one we did, 6 months ago or so, is still a third. It actually risen a little bit, which is kind of cool. But
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So you guys, why do you think that is? Like, maybe that's the case for a lot of churches. Maybe we don't know, but it seems pretty special to, like, specific and unique for y'all for that to be the case.
Yeah. You know, we started out, I think it's a little bit less popular now, and, you know, but like there was the deconstruction-y.
Yes.
Every podcast about deconstruction.
Yes.
Every tweet. And
yes.
I became a big student of the language. This is what I would say. Like, there's the extremities of it, which I think are less interesting to me. But the language of it was what was like really shaping the people that we were reaching. Yeah. And we just started to use it. And it can make people feel uncomfortable. But I would say we just really worked hard to say what they would say and to try to answer questions they were actually asking. And then to be like fully open about this is the kind of church that we're creating for people. And what we found was this. There are people, it sounds a little blunt, there are people on their way to agnosticism that come to church every week because their questions aren't getting answered and they don't feel like they're actually getting content that is connected to what they feel. And I didn't realize that until we got into it. And I was like, there's a lot of people that started coming through that way. And then there were people that were like, there weren't a lot, but the few people that came to our church from other churches were like, I'm actually having a crisis of faith. You know, David Platt actually talked about this recently. I think it was David Platt and Ruslan. You know, Ruslan. I think they had a podcast where I think he mentioned this idea a little bit, and I was like, oh, that's it. There are people that are sitting there like moving away from Christianity, and I was like, I want to be the first place that comes to mind when you're going, I don't know what to do with my faith yet. Yeah. And so we talk like that all the time.
What's the demographic for you guys right now? Like, as far as like, what's their age? What does it look like right now?
So it's funny, when we started, it was all 20-somethings and all empty nesters. So like I was the anomaly. Yeah. And that was right during COVID, right after, because families were the last group, and then families filled in after we launched. So we are really spread. I got a guy that's like in his late 80s that comes to our church that we baptized a few weeks ago. And a ton of 20-something and singles too, and then a lot of young families. We're disproportionate in kids, you know, so for the size of our church, and which is cool. So it is pretty spread. I would say, like, I didn't expect. I thought everybody would kind of look, you know, around my age,
right?
But we attracted
everything,
because I think those questions are for everybody. You know, I like the 80-year-old guys asking the same thing.
100%, yeah.
A little differently though, but yeah.
Wow. Well, the last thing that I want to talk about is something that we've started asking in the last couple episodes, which is just for people watching or listening, how can we be praying for Nuvo in the next year?
Yeah, thanks for asking, man. You know, the thing that I talk about, we have so many people in that space. We just want to be great stewards of their questions, their thought, like where their journey is in processing Jesus. And so I don't know of a ton of churches that are in that middle space. And we're not middle space theologically, but we are an approach. And I would say you can be praying that we're just great stewards of those people. That's a big one for us. The other one is like building. So we are, fun part of our story, we went portable, got a lease building, and the ceiling collapsed in this old Italian restaurant that we were eating in. No. And then we had 2 weeks to move to portable again. And so now we're portable again, which has been great. Like it's a better space, but now we're looking to get a building. And so it's very hard where we are at. There's just not property. They've built everything out. And so we'll be praying for a building space for us. I think that's a big one.
Yeah.
And we talk about this all the time too, but just we want like a white hot vision to go all the way through all of the people that are at our church. And that's something that we talk about a lot. And so when people ask how they can pray for us, there is that like, I forget who the quote, but it's you light a preacher on fire, people will come to watch it burn. Like we want that for everybody that attends our church. And so I would say I ask people to pray for that we just the power and the presence of the Holy Spirit moves so powerfully and deeply through people.
Yeah.
That's actually the most attractive thing to the agnostic, I think, at least what we're finding. So
yeah,
pray for that too. So
yeah, well, we will definitely be praying for that. And really, the heart behind that is like, our people know that the money that they give faithfully, but there is a part of it that goes to these church plants that we faithfully invest in. And I think the part of it that's really faithfully is, and what brings faith into it is like, they're giving to something they don't get to see except for every summer. Right. And they see you one Sunday. And so we just want to give them more tangible things. That make it more real. And adding to this with the podcast and getting y'all's story. And then on top of that, like, how can we actively be praying for you guys? And the hope is that, we come back here in a year or however long it is, and that we sit down and we say, okay, we prayed for this. Right. What's the update?
Absolutely.
And I think being able to give people those real life updates with you guys and is super awesome. So
that's great.
Well, Patrick, I appreciate you sitting down with me today. I hope that they found this entertaining conversation, but also powerful and something that you guys can just see, what's the update with Nuvo. So we're pumped for what God is doing with you guys. We'll be praying for you in those ways, and just praying that the people that are agnostic come to Christ, and that God brings more of those people just like them along the way. So super awesome. But thanks again, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
All right, guys, and thank you guys for listening, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.